Good afternoon. Danny Andrew here. I've been thinking a lot about the hashtag #MeToo movement. And, well, I think it's important that we move forward with this. I think we have kind of lost sight a little bit about what is important. It is important that the perpetrator is brought forward and the perpetrators come into the light. I think that's important. But I think what is of more importance, for me anyway, is to continue to focus on healing me as a person. If you're watching this video for the first time, I was raped at the age of 11. That's elementary school. I was a child. I was raped by a 16-year-old boy who lived up the street from me. He was in my home daily. He was a friend of my brother. He was a friend of mine. I knew him. I knew him well. And he was in our home daily. He hung out with us. He was kind of the part of the group that we hung out with when I was a child, where we lived. I knew him. He was my friend, or at least I thought he was anyway. I have spent my life being enraged, angry, full of hate for this man. It's bubbled up through my life, through every relationship I've ever had, with every man I've been in a relationship with. It's affected my children. It's affected my life, every part of my life. So what do I do about this? I've spent 10 years in counseling, talking to every therapist I've ever had about this one man. I've talked to them about other things, of course, but this man has come up in conversation with every therapist I've ever had. I've talked about him. I've written about him. This book has him in there from September. I published that book in September of 2017. In November of 2017, I was watching America's Most Wanted, reclining in my chair, relaxing, watching a program that I like to watch about real life cops. And on America's Most Wanted, here flashes his name and a picture, and I'm 99% sure it was him. My life turned upside down once again, and it felt like I had been raped all over again. So what do? I hightail it back to my therapist's office and I tell him about it. And we've talked about him all over again. So when do I stop talking about him? I probably don't. But the thing about it is, the healing has to take place. The healing has to get to a point where I can talk about him without the rage. And I'm not 100% there. I'm probably 85% there to where I can talk about him without the rage. There's still a sadness there, a hurt where I just want to cry. I've started this video twice. This is the third time that I started this video. And the second time I stopped it, the dog was barking. And I literally started to cry because I just was in tears. Not so much because the dog was barking, but because of this topic. Why was I so emotional about something that happened 43 years ago? It has affected my life that much. But the point is, I need to reach a point, and I believe I have, partly because this book called Bipolar Disorder Doesn't Have to Be Depressing. It isn't just about bipolar disorder. It's about depression. It's about being raped at a very young age and having to learn to live with this atrocity that happened in my life. It's about reaching out to other people. It's about reaching out to other women and men who have been abused as well, have gone through this trauma and living with the depression, living with this trauma, this atrocity that happened in my life at such a young age. And I didn't tell anyone for 2 years. I never reported it. It was 1976. You didn't do things like that. You didn't talk about it. You didn't say something like that out loud. It just wasn't done. My dad would have beat me. And I say that with absolute certainty. He would have. My mom, when she found out, she cried. She was just heartbroken for me, and that she felt like she had failed me. She felt like she had failed me. How could she have known? How could she have stopped something like that from happening? She couldn't have. She absolutely could not have. She didn't fail me. Absolutely not. She didn't. She did everything. She was a good mom. She was a fabulous mom. We need to reach out to each other and help each other. When you go through that much counseling and get to a point where you're in a better place, you need to reach out and help each other. We need to stop the drama, stop the hate, and help each other get better. That's what this book is about. I'm not here just selling books. Bipolar disorder doesn't have to be depressing. You probably can't see it very well. It's available on Amazon. It's available on my website, dannyandrew.com, DANNIANDREW.com. I'm not here just selling books. Get it on ebook, it costs less. Reach out to a friend. You'll be glad you did, because helping another person get better helps you get better.